Welcome to the Jann Arden podcast and show. I'm here with Caitlin Green and Sarah Burke. It is a beautiful fall. I've had such a lovely few weeks. How are you, ladies?
I've also had a really lovely few weeks.
Great.
It's been great here. Like beautiful weather. Oh my God, we have had beautiful weather.
Yeah.
And they do this, and I don't know if you guys find this as frustrating as I do, but why do I even check a weather app? Because they were calling for like a full day of rain this weekend. We had like a couple of showers in Toronto, and that was really it.
I would love to say I've had a beautiful few weeks, but I've been so sick. I can't get over this goddamn cold.
You both had this.
I'm loaded up on a lot of meds today, to sound normal, because if you watch the YouTube the last few weeks, I'm like constantly just trying not to die.
I feel bad because I feel like I gave it to you.
Well,
the night of the live.
Yeah.
I was just at the very beginning of it, so I feel like I was like
you said
very
you're still
toxic.
Not 100% right now, eh?
I'm going to say I'm 90.
I look forward to the 90. I'm about. Yeah. It's so odd. I don't know if any of our listeners have had this. It's like I wake up yesterday. I'm like, oh, I think I'm on the other side of it. I wake up today. I'm like, no, we're regressing. We're back.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought I was getting it, and then I shook it, I think. But I did have a few days where I randomly napped in the morning, which I haven't done since I stopped working morning radio, where I slept for like a full 2 hours. And It was like I couldn't do anything else. It was like, you don't have other options. Now you must sleep. And I mostly go to bed really early. And I take a lot of supplements. Like I take an inordinate amount of supplements. So hopefully Jan, you are too. And hopefully based on the amount of money I'm spending on them, that is contributing to why I didn't catch this. But I just got the dreaded alert that any parent is familiar with from their daycare center saying that a gastro bug is going around our daycare.
Here we go.
I know. And that's what I said. And I got this, and like the fear that broke out through my body after what I experienced last spring when I was in New York, because I caught my son's Norwalk. And so in the email they send out, they say that they've alerted Toronto Public Health, which they have to do. But you're also kind of like, maybe when you see that, it's the scariest thing you could possibly imagine. Like, we've alerted public health. You're like, holy hell.
Would you rather have a chest cold or Norwalk? Like
a chest cold, anything but Norwalk.
Yeah,
anything.
I think I'm going to go chest cold as well. It's one of those, would you rather be blind or deaf? Like I always pick, I'd rather be deaf.
Same.
I know that's terrible because I love music so much, but yeah, I've heard the Norwalk, the gastro stuff is difficult. I mean, when you're just shitting yourself sideways and throwing up, I hate throwing up. I will do anything not to throw up.
I lost 10 pounds in 3 days.
Jesus Christ.
Not the kind of diet you want to go on.
Does Noom have a field for that? Norwalk.
They don't. And I should have we thought of it after the fact, but I should have worn my husband's Whoop while I was sick, because I would have been really interested to see the desperate biometric data that I was putting out there into the world, because it was... I thought I was going to die. I did, like I said, I thought I was going to have to go to the hospital in New York City. I was so sick.
What is a Whoop? I'm sorry.
Whoop is like a fitness band that you wear around your wrist, and
similar
I would imagine
to our Aura ring,
yeah. I think the metrics are similar to what you would get from an Aura ring, and he loves it. And it does, when you don't have a good night's sleep and your recovery is low, the image that pops up is a skeleton head with a big crack through the skull, and it's like you're at 1% recovery, like if you're really hungover.
Yeah. Well, these trackers are so interesting because like it tells me my body temperature is either really low or really high when something's off, and like I have woken up in a sweat like the last 3 mornings, just you can tell your body is fighting it off. And anyway, we're hoping for tomorrow to be better is sort of my everyday mission.
Well, it is a drag, but you're a trooper doing this. Leave us some voice notes. Tell us how sick you are. Tell us what's going around your neighborhood. We'd love to hear from you. I don't know if there's any old wives' tales. I have to thank Danny Kind for sending me a huge box of these little shot things that are they look like little juice bags for kids that you kind of squeeze out pureed plums or something. I believe they're called Good Life. I could be completely wrong here, but she sent me a box of these things, and I have been doing 2 a day. And I think it's nice. Ginger, echinacea, and cayenne.
Did you like the shot I made you when you were
I
in
really did. I really did.
I've been just making those every day.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
That's a good recipe. I could put in our Patreon, because it's like supplements your body can only absorb so much.
Yeah,
So
you
the more
piss
raw
out
food,
the stuff that you're not using, right?
Yeah. So,
well, listen, we got a lot of really zany things to talk about today, and I'm going to throw this over to Caitlin because you have a take on Kanye going down with the P Diddy stuff, and I'm not overhearing about it. I'm always wanting to hear more about what's happening and what's unfolding because it's so god awful. So Kanye, what about him?
So Kanye is now being sued by a former personal assistant for many issues, but among them is that she's accusing him of sexual assault and drugging her and then sexually assaulting her while he was at a recording session with Diddy. So she's invited to the recording studio with him or is accompanying him. And when they are all there, someone supplies them with drinks, and apparently some women who were there were sexually assaulted. This is what she's alleging. But then a former artist sort of turned, I want to say, content creator and sort of like internet personality. She's like a very beautiful woman. She did an Instagram live talking about how she was at the same studio session and she witnessed all of the women start to seem like they were under the impact of like a drugged drink, and that she managed to get out of there, and that there were other men in the recording studio. One of them was Kanye West's cousin, and one was actually like a record label executive who didn't do anything to stop the assaults. That she didn't consume the drink that she was given because she thought that she was going there as an artist to work with him in the studio and wasn't comfortable like drinking, or she just was not into a party atmosphere for that situation. And so she corroborates everything that this woman is accusing Kanye West of. And Kanye West now has another person who was in charge of his security who is suing him as well. Who there are parents who were at this school that he started, the Donda School for Children, that are accusing him of, threatening them and aggressive behavior. And he also was supposed to be tailing, like he was like stalking the Kardashian family with his security detail, that he was having them followed. He was having his now ex-wife, Bianca Censori, followed. I mean, this is a very unwell person. I think everyone's known that and seen that quite publicly displayed for a long time. But also, you have to wonder what's happening with some of these women in his life behind closed doors. And to hear him in a studio session with Diddy, where now multiple women are accusing them of sexual assault, I think that there's probably like tip of the iceberg situation.
Yeah, it sounds like a real mess for a lot of people. I keep reading things about, Justin Bieber, that he's trying to stay as far away from this stuff as he possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
He's not made any comment. I'm sure he's being dogged by the press and the paparazzi. What do you think of Diddy? Blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't think about him actually, but
or he tries not to.
Yeah, it's anyway, it's going to be interesting. I can't stand Kanye either. And I think, the black male community suffers so much from bad press, like right across the board. They're constantly being accused of not being great dads and kind of disappearing on their sons and, going into, they have it enough. I mean, there's amazing black families out there and amazing
artists,
black men
musicians,
doing artists, musicians, all this stuff. But these guys just cast a very long shadow on how black men make their way through the entertainment business. And I hope
I think the entertainment business in general sort of due for that reckoning. Like the Me Too thing happened a bit in Hollywood for actors, but the take that certain artists, Kesha being one of them, had said was that this really is a long time coming for music. And I think that is just going to continue to snowball off of all of these allegations against Diddy. I mean, I forget how many accusers he has now, but it's
in the hundreds.
It's in the hundreds. I mean, and so just statistically speaking, if his allegation, like if his legal case against his accusers is going to be they're coming at him for money and fame, which never happens. No one remembers the name of the Cosby accusers, everybody. Like that's just such a misnomer. And it's such a failed attempt by their legal counsel to try to point a finger back on their accuser. But there's just statistically no chance that every single one of these people are lying. And some of the legal complaints being brought against him, the people are underage. Like, and they want to stay anonymous. They're not trying to do this for, a massive payday and a whole bunch of fame. Like they're young men and young women who want to remain anonymous because this is going to ruin their lives, they fear.
And online, if you watch one video, I don't know about you guys, but you watch one video and then you're served up like 20 more. And then before you know, it's like, how many of these internet personalities talking about the Diddy case are we going to watch in 1 week right now? It's ridiculous. But the message overwhelmingly, I find like saying, kind of what Jann was getting at is like, how is this going to hurt hip hop and music as well? Because it's casting a shadow on the genre as well.
Yeah, you have to wonder though, like in my thinking on this, the women who were in the studio alleged that, his cousin's there who was working with him in some sort of a management capacity. Someone else from the record label was there, right? You've got R. Kelly before this. Now R. Kelly's daughter has come out and said that she was molested by him when she was a child. You have his quote unquote marriage to Aaliyah. And further to that, you have now allegations linking like Notorious B.I.G., who's passed away. You have so many people in the music industry, and not just hip hop, but obviously there's a lot of artists right now in hip hop who are in trouble because of Diddy just being such a prominent figure in that industry. Like I kind of am like, well, I don't know. You do the crime, I think you should do the time.
And of course.
Like they have, like it's like all of like. Maybe your behavior as an industry needs to be reexamined. Maybe this really does need to get fixed so that the artists who aren't problematic in 10 years don't have to like deal with this all over again. Because I can't help but think that it's like kind of a sick space altogether.
And who will be connected that was just there.
Yeah. How does this go on so long? How did this go on for so many years, decades even?
Power.
To get to this. I don't know what.
It was intentional that he had video cameras set up because it was a way for him to keep it quiet this entire time.
And don't forget, like a lot of the people who are being connected with him in these cases themselves wanted to party with Diddy. They wanted to party with him. They wanted to drink and do drugs. They wanted to be part of his inner circle. They wanted that proximity to the power and the money and the fame and all the promises that he made. And they were willing to look the other way when it came to abusing women and in some cases allegedly underage, minors. And they didn't care. And some of them probably were into it themselves. Like that's the other part where I'm like, you're there too. Like you really can't plead the fifth and say, oh, woe is me. I just wanted my record deal. Well, if you want a record deal so badly that you're willing to look the other way when people are violated and taken advantage of, go to jail and like certainly don't have a career anymore.
Yeah. It's like what Sarah was saying. Some of these TikTok rabbit holes you go down. There was one girl on there. I'm sorry, I didn't see her name, but she was talking about, she was, I think 16 or 17, so clearly underage. Oof. And one of her jobs at these freak parties was to lie on a glass kind of a table, and she had sushi on her. So the clients, the party goers would come in and they would eat sushi off her and literally like either put their mouth down and just take it right off her torso or her, pelvis or whatever. And she said, I got money. I got paid money for it. But she said, I just witnessed horrific things and I just never, I don't know why I didn't say anything.
Yeah, it's hard to know and to put yourself in the position of the people who were there initially for money and then maybe saw worse things or had worse things happen to them. But, his trial is going to be set for May 25th of next year. And that's a long time like to wait and continue to have more and more of this stuff sort of come out. But I hope that we do get to see a little bit of a musical comeback from, Cassie, for example. Like some of the women who I think they had their careers really sidelined by him intentionally because they were either victimized by him or he shut their career down if they weren't sort of agreeing to go along with part of his stuff. So I think that would be a nice little bow on the chapter of his crappiness, because she had a real, like, I remember Cassie when I was growing up, like she had a real career starting, and then it sort of all got shut down as he was clearly becoming more and more abusive to her. And she's thrived. Like she has a wonderful husband and a family. And so it's just been so amazing to see how her life has gone after she got away from him. But like, I want the album now.
Yeah.
I think that would be great.
No, I think it's going to be really interesting to see this unfold and to see what kind of charges are laid and to see what kind of time he actually ends up doing and just all the witnesses they're going to call. I mean, I haven't really seen this kind of a media frenzy over a legal case with a black man since O.J. Simpson. It seems like
And
the amount of fervor going on.
R. Kelly was up there, but this
just seems so much more wide-reaching than R. Kelly. R. Kelly was just kind of the creepy guy, but it wasn't so. You see new lists every day. Like Oprah's been on these party lists. Halle Berry's been on these party lists. Like all these people that you
Can
think
we get the Trump clip? Because that would be perfect right now.
Yeah, God,
he's got to be at one of the parties.
Who knows? I have not seen his name on any of these lists so far, which is a miracle. But yeah, we'll see what's going on. I think, Caitlin, you were mentioning last week that I think Prince Andrew might have been.
I thought you mentioned that.
Me? I don't think. I think
you
I
said.
Don't
I hope you said. I hope he's not there. I hope he's not involved because he has enough trouble. That was sort of your joke.
No, I was talking to somebody else like in the last few days that were like, he's somehow hooked into this as well.
I feel like I saw Prince Harry like in one of the stories.
You know what?
Somewhere.
It was Prince Harry.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm not going to say like just because a lot of these famous people went to his parties, they're like in trouble. Like just about everyone under the sun went to Diddy's Hampton parties. He started the white party. Like he started those things. So I think attending the party is not going to be necessarily you being guilty, but I think that being the people who were always at the parties for years and helped throw them.
What it was.
Yeah, like if you went to every single one for 10 years, you probably like got into some stuff.
Did you see the Ellen clip?
No.
There's a clip circulating. I'll try to pull it and put it right here, but he's on Ellen's show and Ellen makes reference to the party and jokes about, I know what happens at your parties. And then they carry on. It's on daytime television. Back in the day.
And like 30 Rock used to joke about like not specifically Diddy, but they would talk about Harvey Weinstein. Like they would joke about these things that were whispered through the industry of people being a creep for a long time and the type of men that you would warn young women and young artists against because you knew something was off. So I think he's like that. I think Diddy's a bit like that.
Poppy just wanted to weigh in. He doesn't like anybody. Next topic. I think we've given
please
these guys enough of our time and attention, but we will keep talking about it because it's gross. Like driving by a huge like fireball accident. You're just like rubbernecking to see what's going on.
And I want them all to go to jail. I'm like, yeah let's get them behind bars.
I think we'll see that, Caitlin. I really do. The dog that was tied up to a tree along the Hurricane Milton escape route. He was a little black and white dog. And they've actually found him, the owner of the guy that tied him up, because I guess a peace officer, like a patrol car came by, saw this dog standing up to his neck in water in a ditch tied to this post. The police officer risked life and limb to run across this ditch to get this dog like in the height of the hurricane. Yeah. And this dog was so freaking relieved. Anyway, they found the owner of this dog, and he may be looking at 5 years in jail. Even the governor, our friendly governor of Florida, is just saying it was a beyond evil act, and we're going to go after this guy with every bit of the law that we can. So I was really glad to hear that they found him, and how stupid this guy was that tied his dog up and left him.
Well, I always wonder with people who express that kind of cruelty towards animals. Like, I'm like, can we just go to their house on the basis of doing this and just do a little cursory search through their browser history? Like, you just want to, like, there's just something really wrong with someone like that who does that to an animal.
I've
It's
been
creepy.
with this dog for 10 days, and the thought of even leaving her home alone for 5 hours is like, I could cry.
I know.
Tying your dog to a tree?
No, like you're trying to kill them and you're doing
it's
it's like, that's like, call it what it is. He can't just be like, oh, I forgot it and had to go to the market. Like, that's not what happened here. So it's like, and people who do that to animals, thumbs up.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's get his backstory.
You should see this dog's cute little face. The officer got him in his car and just said, "You're okay, buddy. You're okay." And obviously, I can't wait to see him go to jail, and I hope he never is able to own a pet again in his life as long as he lives.
Yeah.
Just pathetic. I mean, I can't imagine either. I can't imagine getting in a car and I'll just leave Poppy in the house because I don't really have enough dog food for him, and he'll be fine and he can ride it out. There was dogs on, I mean, I have no sympathy, empathy, all those things for people that leave pets behind. I don't understand it. I don't give a shit. Pack them in the car, put them on your kid's lap, put them in a fucking cardboard box in the trunk, get them out of there. Yeah. It's and like inexcusable. A horse is one thing.
Yeah. And you don't have to have pets, everyone. Like, just don't have a pet then. Like, you don't have to have pets. You can just not have them and then not have this problem. But if you do have a pet, there are like
that's your responsibility.
It's your responsibility. And the shelters will take them in. You can't claim that there's a shelter. They change those policies. Many hotels, when, you know, in and around hurricanes, will also waylay their no pet policy and let you go and stay with your pets. So you can't really say that either. I mean, did the internet find out who that guy is? Like, have they? So that was like something. His picture and stuff is out there.
I'm pretty sure they've published his name. I don't have it in front of me here, but they've named him. Mm-hmm. They've shamed him, and I can't wait to hear all the excuses that come out of that. But
because there was this football, did you guys see the thing that happened? It was going viral this weekend where after a football game, I know one of the teams was the Baltimore Ravens, but a fan of the winning team went around after the game looking for fans wearing jerseys of the opposing team. And he's obviously very, very drunk and he's looking to fight them. Even though his team won, he's going up and he goes up to, and he's a really big guy and he's really clearly aggressive and drunk and mentally unstable. And he goes up to these guys and he's like, hey, are you guys like fans of this? And they're in the jerseys and they're kind of like, yeah. And they're like, they're not ready for a fight, nor have they done anything wrong. And he just sucker punches them and he knocks one of them out. He could have given them a concussion and he was going around and doing this. The fast work of the internet in finding out who this guy was, they have his face everywhere. They find his employer. He loses his job. They find all of his former, his former schools, like his former university. Then they find out all the other allegations that were against him over the course of his life for similar issues. And I just thought to myself, sometimes the internet sleuths do actually like some good in finding these people.
A case for internet journalism.
It is like, it doesn't happen often. The internet's usually a dumpster fire. But when I saw that happen, I was like, good for you guys.
It's just, the internet is a magical place. And it is solving crimes as we sit here talking. A little bit more on those robots that you guys brought like a couple weeks ago. I don't know if it's Elon Musk that has done those walking robots that look so freaky. There's a new one that's been made by another Japanese company that is programmed to do French fries in fast food restaurants. Mm-hmm. They had 1,000 of them for sale. Mm-hmm. I sent you guys a little clip on that News Buzz thing that I get pretty much every morning. It's so
the morning brew.
I really love getting it. But they sold out 1,000 of these things. White Castle is now going to order a whole bunch of them just to stand at their fry station because they can't get anyone to work there. It's like they can't get anyone to work in dish pits anymore, like in restaurants, to dishwashers. It's really hard to do. And because the kids want, they want to enter an entry level that's like the vice president of a company. That's what people want to walk into these positions. They don't want to work their way up. But I just thought, oh my God, how cool would it be to walk into, I don't know, McDonald's, frickin' Popeyes or whatever, and just see this big white thing dipping his metal arm into a deep fryer and pulling out French fries. Like they're actually hiring these things, buying them, and they think they'll pay for themselves in like 2 years and that they will never staff those positions again. So thoughts on that?
Wouldn't like the heat of the oil like short circuit the goddamn thing eventually anyway?
I mean, you assume it's designed to not have that happen.
You would think, but like once you put what you created in different environments with different heats and different, I think that there'll be funny things that come out of that. Also, not funny things that would be scary.
Yeah, I don't know. They're going to be replacing all kinds of jobs.
I don't want one in my house. I'll tell you that. The ones that are supposed to be in your house, I was like, this thing is horrifying. And so I don't know. Some people might want it, and they're trying to say, there could be good uses for people who need the additional help, like lifting things around the house or
child care.
Hell no.
No, I know, but can you imagine?
Well, yes, I can, because I'm like, people are gonna, and like, look, I have a low estimation of many people in the world, and so do I think that the home robot's called Neo Beta, and so do I believe that Neo Beta is possibly better than like the lowest 20% of humans? Absolutely, like without question. But does it scare the living crap out of me? Yeah. And they gave it really giant hands because it's supposed to be able to help you like lift stuff around the house. So we can include some footage of this Neo Beta thing in our show notes this week because its hands are massive and super scary to me. And it's a faceless humanoid android. And so it has this dark screen head that just fills me with the most cosmic horror I could possibly imagine. Like, that looks like the last thing I'm going to see before I leave this earth. It's so scary. So I don't know.
Do you remember seeing AI years ago?
Back in the day.
With that little kid.
Haley Joel Osment.
Yes, Haley Joel Osment. And this mother had her husband get a little droid for her that was, a carbon copy of her son.
Mm-hmm.
And to kind of keep her company, to get her through the grieving process, because this little boy had passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just remember the last scene was so creepy. I left the theater thinking, this is the most depressing thing I've ever seen in my life, because this little boy fell in love with the mother and he was programmed to want the affection. Well, the last scene is him. They finally gotten rid of him. They could not get rid of this robot. It kept coming back. The last scene is Haley at the bottom of the ocean, like just calling for his mother. Yeah. Still going, like has a battery life of 100,000 years at the bottom of the ocean. Anyway, I don't know how I feel about AI. Every time I do a WhatsApp message now, I am prompted to see if I would like to improve my message with AI. Would you like a different option to what you've just sent back as like, fucking call me later, you asshole, I don't want to talk to you on the phone? Would you like help with AI to construct a better sentence than what you've come up with? Have you guys been prompted with that at all?
All the time.
Have you tried it? I haven't even hit that button.
No.
What's my other option? Like, what's my other option to talk to you later? Sorry, is that not good enough?
They're just trying to prompt you to play with them, because what they need and what they're going to rely on is user input data. So they need, in order for the machines to become better, they need you to engage with them so that they can learn how to communicate and what type of communication style you want. And I know I use ChatGPT, and ChatGPT, if it will eventually, like once you create an account and you use it frequently, it will understand your tone, it will understand your interests, and you can ask for it to do things for you and write things for you in your style. And it's creepy how effective this is. And now a lot of university professors are saying that their job was once to go through ideas and to critique ideas, and now really all they're doing is trying to protect against people just using AI to build all of their papers and their theses.
And how can you tell otherwise? Like, how do you scrutinize and vet those papers that are coming?
You use AI. You use another AI program to identify if this person used AI for their paper. And it's like, I just think, I really do worry. Like, there are parts of everyone's job that probably AI would be better suited to do, and it would be helpful for you to have it do that, and it would actually be useful. And then there's parts of it where I just think, it's going to continue to erode everyone's creativity and thought process.
It has been prompting. I think it was on Instagram that I saw it. Yeah. It prompts you to say if you've used AI in the content you're posting.
Oh, like you have to identify if this was like, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's mandatory. I think it's like, it's been suggested, like it's a prompt, like, hey, please let us know, even though,
for images, I know it will be soon. Yeah. It'll be a requirement if it's not already a requirement. And I've started noticing that on my Explore page, I now get AI images intermixed with like other regular content. So it identifies that, items I save a lot might be nice hairstyles or nails or an interior design shot or, shots of nature like landscapes. Well, now accounts that just create these images using AI are popping up all over Instagram. And so I have to go through and be like, not interested, because I'm trying to send the message to the algorithm that like, I don't want to look at a Windows homepage. I don't want to see a home screen from like, I want to actually look at a place I can reasonably visit or plan a trip to. I don't want AI images of mountains.
Listen, I don't your even article, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, it was good. It was really, really good.
I just loved it. Caitlin did an article about where her and Kyle went up into where is it? Where is it, Caitlin? Where did you go?
Hudson Valley, New
York. Hudson Valley, New York. But
and the resort is Ennis, and it's
beautiful. The photographs were beautiful. It looked like something that I'd be like, I'm going to click onto this and I'm going to effing go.
Yeah.
So good job on that.
Thank you. I'm so happy you read it. You're such a talented writer, so that like means a lot because
you're fantastic. It was so fantastic. It was whimsical, it was factual, but it was fun, and it didn't sound elitist. It sounded like this isn't just for you can bring your child. You can go and have a great time, and there's lots of different things for every level of your adventurous spirit. There's something that you can do. If you want to sit and read a book in front of a fireplace, have at her. If you want to go pick apples somewhere, and I cut you off, Sarah. So what were you going to say? Sorry.
Oh, I'm not going to go back there. I was just going to say I don't even trust my Roomba, and I lose it in my own 1-bedroom condo all the time. So that was my wrap on AI. But Caitlin's article I also read, and great job. Mm-hmm. Question. Did you use ChatGPT to like start some ideas rolling? Because that's also a great use of ChatGPT.
I know. And I didn't because when I was on the trip, I had formulated already my own like notes and how I wanted to like present the property. But then my husband, after I had done, like I'd already had the framework for what I wanted to say. And then my husband, who uses it for his job, was like, oh, like you should have it come up with some ideas and like and I was like, what? I didn't even I like feel so old now that I'm like, I don't think to use it. Right. So I have to have someone else tell me to use it. What I was frequently using it for was like, I would ask it questions for like strategies regarding social media or like marketing strategies, or also too, like I like the way that it explains things. Like, so if I wanted to explain like the concept of interest rates, which recently happened,
or the inflation thing that you mentioned last week. Yeah,
precisely. So exactly that on that same topic. So I like ChatGPT to do things like that. But I like should be using it more for that.
Someone who would be like writing an article for any magazine, any publication, let's say, like, so let's say you had your framework written out of what you wanted to do. You could essentially, and I know a lot of content creators do this, dump that into ChatGPT and say, give me like 5 takeaways from my experience. And then it just like reformats it in like a list, which is sometimes more digestible for people. So, you know, it can be useful in just reframing things that is your intellectual real property and thoughts.
I love figuring stuff.
I can tell when people are using it in that context. And it is a lot of those like listicle type things, and that's what everyone clicks on. So
well, it was really great. And
thank you. I'm going to do a guide to Hudson Valley because that was like specific to the hotel Ennis, but I'm going to do another one that's like a regional guide.
Let's put that article in our show notes.
Oh, great.
Just so people can click on either on our Patreon or on the Jann Arden.
Yeah, you should share it in Patreon with some of your behind the sceene photos.
I will. I'll share it on Patreon. I also recently did a list on Patreon for people of like cozy recommendations for the fall. And other only Jans are sharing theirs. So if you're not already subscribing, get on there.
I smell a transition to a cozy fall playlist.
Yes.
We need to work on our playlist. Guys, we are going to do one. We're going to do a fall playlist, and we would be remiss not to do a Christmas playlist as well. So
we're going to start creating one now. Like, I mean, I know we're late on getting it published for the first day of fall, but better late than never. And I think what's so funny about our summer playlist, like hilariously, we all have different
listening to it.
We all still have like different taste in music, and there were different vibes. Like, you know, you could have a different vibe at a summer campfire or on the dock as you would like if you're going out in the summer. So I think our fall vibe is going to be a little more cozy. Like we have a specific
Are you giving
feel.
us directions so that we don't stray off into it's
like,
the cult, it's the cure.
Let's call it like sweater weather or something like that, you know, and like be cozy and like, you know, those vibes that are like we're slowing down, we're getting ready to hibernate, you know. We're all black bears.
Yeah, and that could mean anything to anyone, but it's like I already have a playlist that I like that this sort of serves the purpose of, so I've got my songs all ready to go.
Okay. So should we let's start with something. I think we can put this in this week's show notes. Let's start with something like we'll get like 30 songs in there, you know. Okay. 10 from each of us. We can do that.
I can sit and do that as soon as we hang up this phone. I know we're not on the phone.
I love how we're on the phone now for the podcast.
I know. Just also a fall bear update. He came careening through the yard about 3 nights ago. Oh. He tipped over my rain barrel. He bent my drain pipe like up. It was like pointing up. It looked like a UFO had tried to take metal out of my yard. He flipped over all the little logs that I have sort of out there that I put birdseed on. And he ate one of the pumpkins. So I bought 3 pumpkins from Superstore. They were $3.79 each. And I put them out as fall decor, you know, just at the end of my walkway. Well, one he ate it in its entirety. Just the bottom little nub is there, and then the top nub. So he's left the lid in the bottom. But I thought, wow,
that's healthy for him.
He made really. Oh no, I mean, pumpkin must have been awesome.
Totally
didn't cross my mind that he would eat a full pumpkin. Welcome back to the Jann Arden podcast and show. I don't know what that ad was. But it was something good, and whatever that ad was that you just listened to, I would appreciate it if you went out and bought it, supported it, did it, talked about it. What was it? It could have been anything. It could have been the Diva Cup. It could have been the Diva Cup. Have we tried our Diva Cup,
Caitlin?
No.
She's like, no, guys, if I may read the message in the group chat yesterday, it was something to the effect of, I am certain that I'm good with this being for end of days. Did I get that right?
Yeah. Okay. My Diva Cup is for end times.
Okay.
And so when the global supply chain falls off the rails and no one can get their hands on feminine hygiene products anymore, that's when I will be really relieved to have my Diva Cup.
Here's the quote. I feel resolute in my belief that the Diva Cup is an apocalyptic hygiene option only for me. Yeah. Done. Okay. But I think I will buy, I think I'm going to try the new like flatter one and I will report back.
Okay.
We've talked about Kanye. We've talked about Diddy. We have talked about a lot of different things. We've talked about, you know, we want to talk about the election because I think the robots leads us into elections.
And the 36 messages in the group chat that I came back to yesterday when I was quiet for a few hours.
We were passionate about what we were talking about because Caitlin sent me a link to JD Vance being on the Washington Post podcast or something.
No, it was the New York Times does a thing called The Interview.
See, I know nothing. The New York Times. Okay, same thing. Okay, what is it?
So the New York Times does a podcast called The Interview, and it'll be like with a specific person. And so one of the recent episodes was with JD Vance. And I'm familiar with him. I'm one of the few people in Canada who read his friggin' book in 2016.
Hillbilly Elegy.
Hillbilly Elegy. The movie was apparently unwatchable. I did not see it.
I watched it.
Did you?
Yeah, with my dad. Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. Okay.
And we were both just like, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wouldn't have read that book and thought this is a movie, but anyways. But I was listening to him on this interview and look, factually, he gets a lot of stuff wrong. And so, and I don't subscribe to much of what he says. However, I was like, oh, not me having something that I agree with JD Vance on. Like, what is going on?
You're going to find that with everybody, right?
I know.
You do find things that you agree with.
Yeah, so he was describing the feeling of how society, and he cites U.S. society, but I would say in Canada too, that it's become pathologically anti-child. And I was like, as he started explaining it and talking about what he meant, I was like, damn it, you're putting into words something I already felt. And it's because it reminded me of the conversation that we had weeks ago on the show where Jann cited a woman who,
for the love of God,
said
because a baby was crying.
Because a baby is crying on a plane. Because a baby is crying on a plane.
It was embarrassing.
That woman is messed up.
Yeah, broke my heart.
But it's the way that society, it started out as like, you know, it was funny. It was edgy to joke about not liking kids. It was edgy and cool to say you don't want them on planes or I don't like them in restaurants. But to slowly like eke away at the notion that like children can take up space in the world and families can take up space in the world, and that like the sound of a kid laughing or crying or having fun or running around is like actually that you're hearing the sound of life, everyone. And so what he hits on is that, you know, and he was talking about how he got raked over the coals for the, you know, the childless cat lady comment, which he owned as being a disaster, like
Okay.
a out of touch thing to say. But what he was trying to talk about was this like anti-child sentiment that he feels is pervasive in North American society. And I was like, damn it, I actually kind of agreed with him on some of that, because he was saying how he watched a woman when he was younger, before he was even in politics, get on a train. And he said he would have regarded her as being 21 or 22, and she had kids with her, and they were being really noisy and loud.
They're being
and
kids.
3 kids. And everyone on the train starts huffing and puffing about this woman having children with her. And he said, I noticed her because the kids were being children. And he said, and she was so patient with these kids. And I just thought, what a patient mom with her children right now, even though everyone else on the plane who doesn't have to deal with the kids, so they have it leaps and bounds easier, is trying to make it known to her that it's uncomfortable for them to have to hear it. And I just thought, this is so bang on. And I really, he tapped into something that frustrates me. And he also talked about how, there is like this political thing that gets espoused lots of the time recently about how like, well, I don't want to have kids because of climate change. And he was saying how he feels like that's unwell. Jan's cleaning her computer screen right now for everyone on YouTube.
It was really blurry.
And he was like, I don't get that either. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, it's okay to be worried about climate change. Everyone's worried about climate change. But to say I'm not going to have kids because of climate change. Like,
I did not have kids because of climate change.
Yeah. And he was like, it's fine. You don't want to have kids, don't have kids. Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But like, don't become anti-child for the people who do want them. And then also don't like maybe say that I'm worried about like Hurricane Milton, so I'm not going to have kids.
I have a thought on this.
It's stupid.
I am careful in the words I'm going to choose right now too, because it still feels like and I know we might think differently on this, on the kids thing, which is also the beauty of this podcast. Everybody has different opinions.
Totally.
But it still feels like he's casting a shadow on the idea of not having kids, even in the way that you just explained that, right? And that's where I totally agree with the point you're making about the trains and the planes and kids and kids just being kids. But I think underneath all of that, fundamentally, he's still trying to get back to
procreate, have children, put them out into the world, pump them out there.
That's sort of how I feel about it.
There could very well be that underlying message. And he actually has said, I very much inarticulated. I didn't articulate very well with the crazy cat lady woman, right? He's gone on to say that he regrets saying that.
Oh, he should.
But yet he brings it up a lot.
Well, the interviewer in this instance did bring it up.
The interviewer did.
Yeah, the interviewer brought it up. So he is asked about it a lot because it was such a huge blunder.
A soundbite. It was a soundbite.
It was a soundbite, and like he talks a little bit about that. And I have an issue with him, and I have an issue with Trump on the fact that they just say things that are so factually untrue, and they don't put the proper context on a lot of their talking points. That like that's what frustrates me. But like people can have their own like feelings on things. But he talked about like. The effect that like trying to insist that 3-year-olds wear masks during like the kind of more tyrannical portions of lockdowns. And so he talks about that and like how that really has set children back with language. Like it's not up for debate. It has like
there's facts.
There's facts. Like this isn't. And so he's just really talking about how like, and parents during all these lockdowns were just expected to go to work and also raise your kids and have them at home. But also if they could not be on this call and not making any noise in the background. Oh, and if she's going to take time off to have a kid and now her kid's going to be in the back of the Zoom call, but also she has to homeschool them. And like, he was just saying how everything has become so like there's no support and there's no like,
and that point is fair.
And there's no feeling of like allowing, things to be difficult without then saying, don't do it. Like so there was a whole bunch of things with him like that I was surprised to agree on. And then he of course goes into things like abortion. And I'm like, we totally disagree.
And we're turning it off.
And also we could not be more oppositional there, but like, it was interesting.
Because we've talked about this podcast before. Do you listen to The Daily?
Yes.
Okay. Did you listen to the episode called She Used to Be Friends with JD Vance?
No.
It was in August.
And this is with Sophia, his former friend?
What is her name? It's right here. Law school friend Sophia Nelson. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll put it in the show notes if anyone wants to check this episode out. But I found like there was, some really ick feelings that came out of him from that interview, because that's like a former really good friend of his from his formative years when he was in law school. And the fallout from that, and like how she's like, I don't understand who this person is now. Really interesting perspective. If you want to check it out, it'll be in the show notes.
It was interesting because I do feel that, you know, who he likely was back when he wrote this book and back when he had these relationships with other people has changed. And it sounded to me, again, my interpretation of this, and I'm just being an armchair expert here, but it sounded to me like part of what radicalized him was having children. And part of what changed him a lot in his outlook on the world and the way he sees things has been like through experiencing the pandemic, how he felt about the pandemic, how he felt about some of the rules and where we were, and also about the fact that he now has 3 kids. And I was like, you know, and it does really change you as a person, but I just don't know if it makes you like decide you're going to be Trump's running mate. But
how about, just on the political topic, how about Kamala Harris writing, is he okay?
Oh my gosh.
Well, when you go to a rally, and you've got a host standing there, this very beautifully well-dressed woman that's going to be hosting an event. He comes out there in his very large boxy
Trump,
blue
by
suit.
the way, not JD Vance.
Trump,
we're talking about.
Sorry, not JD
rallies.
Vance.
Yeah.
At a Trump rally, and he plays 30 minutes of unlicensed music. He plays Ave Maria. He has his eyes shut. He's swaying like back and forth. He's got his hand. It's like he's putting on a concert. He's very proudly curating these songs to play to people that express who he is as a man. Like you can just see him taking in this, I am the son of God. And anyway, people are sitting there with their MAGA hats and their signs and their fucking flag t-shirts on. They have no idea what to do. And then YMCA comes on, not licensed. He hasn't asked any of these artists permission. This goes on for 30 minutes without him saying a word at this rally. So this is where Kamala has literally put up this thing like, are you okay? Because he didn't say anything. And then he said a few things that were jumbled, misinterpreted. This poor girl's trying to do her job, asking him a few questions. He rambles. He's like doing the weave. Like I start saying something about, you know, this, and then I go to the Spanish Wall, and then I talk about. He doesn't make any sense. And then he comes back with another song. President Trump, you wanted to play another song? Yes, I do. And then everyone sat there, and that was the end of the rally.
And it's good, Mother.
I would actually sell my house to get a lawyer.
God.
Anyway.
But it's just, because he's trying. I saw someone said that it was like he's had 5 light beers and he gets control of the playlist at like his friend's party, where he just was like, you were just watching him, like he just wanted to vibe out.
He wanted to be a DJ.
He just wanted to vibe out to Ave Maria, but you're like, you're in front of a lot of people right now and they have no idea what's going on. And that's where Kamala had hooked him in the debate too, where she said, you know, if you go to his rallies, people are going to leave early because they go on forever. There's really no structure. He doesn't say much. He rambles on. He doesn't talk about any issues that matter to you, and you get bored. And then he was like, that will trigger him. And so that's when he went off the rails, because she brought up the rallies. But like the footage I'd seen, and I haven't watched a lot of footage of his rallies, but I was like, oh my God.
Our playlist will be better.
Yeah, our playlist will be better, but we will have Ave Maria on there.
Okay.
It's a great song.
Okay.
I mean, I don't dislike the songs. I just was like, why is he standing there swaying around on stage? Like someone get the old hook out and say like, come on, da-da-da-da-da, show's over.
So before
our show's over too, but we're going to play some voice notes. That's what we're going to do.
Okay. Let's play some voice notes.
I mean, it is a zany time. I cannot help. It's like we were talking about earlier, you guys, about I can't help but see what's going on with P. Diddy and the whole train wreck that's going on. Like, I don't want to know, but I do want to know. Like, I open my phone up in the morning and I'm like, where are we now? Yeah. And I do the same thing with Trump. I'm like, where was he last night? What little town was he in? What has he done? And he is riding shotgun down the avalanche. He is just.
That's a great mental image.
It is. It's just. There's a wall of snow behind him. He's on a toboggan in his suit, and his tie is flapping in the wind, and he's listening to Ave Maria, and he's headed towards the rocks.
He's headed towards something. I mean, we're all headed towards something. Dang it! Yeah. But like the election is coming up. It's very soon.
20 days away, or 19 days away, or some goddamn thing. Isn't it November the 6th?
I think so.
Should we fact check? Hold on.
We should, yeah. I should
U.S.
know it offhand, but
election.
I love how I just throw these facts out there.
Tuesday, November 5th.
5th. Okay.
People are pre-voting and doing early voting in unprecedented numbers. This is a good sign, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And
they're
just
voting
wait for
in
our
absentia, like from other countries, you know, that they're not here. All the expats that are all over the world, they're voting like fucking mad. And he doesn't want them to count. Like, oh my God, he's still going on about that. Anyway, he doesn't want to be fact checked. So let's just keep that in mind. Okay,
we just
folks.
fact check the election date. Okay.
We fact check here all the time. So here's some voice notes. We love this. We don't know what people are going to be saying. So we put ourselves in great peril every week.
Here we go.
Hi, ladies. This is Janice from Surrey, BC. I was inquiring about the Crocs that you mentioned in last week's podcast, Jan. Would those perhaps have been Blanche's Crocs from the movie Bandits? It was quite funny. Thanks, ladies. Keep up the good work.
They are my Bandits Crocs. So,
wow.
Janice,
what does that mean? Is that a brand?
I have a feeling you are the costume designer from Bandits, a very funny movie that I was in.
Okay.
Anyway.
Is that like Bandits, but in a van?
Bandits. Yeah. It's super fun.
Love that. Okay. What a great portmanteau.
I play
I'm keeping
a woman
Bandits.
named Blanche, and I hit people over the head with frying pan. I think I'm murdered in the end with a nail gun.
Oh my God.
So that was good. But I do have Crocs on in sport mode. So take that to the bank.
Yeah. All right. Here's our next one.
Hi, Jen, Caitlin, Sarah. This is Suzanne, a cross-border listener from Buffalo, New York. I want to thank you all because I just drove from Buffalo to Calgary and back for the Winona Earp convention there last weekend. Wow. And I listened to lots of podcasts from you guys across the Great Plains, and it was a joy to relive the summer with you. I also want to thank Jan for, I guess, always making me uncomfortable when I order food. I was on the river cruise in Portugal last year, and at your town hall, you said that every meatless meal we have makes a difference. And your words ring in my ears, and I find myself more and more making meatless choices, sometimes vegan choices, and I've had a lot of great meals that I don't think I would have chosen otherwise. I actually travel with a vegan friend who always thanks me for going to vegan restaurants with him, and I tell him all the time, vegan food is still food. So, Jan, I'm not in a mental health place where I could sustain a big left turn, but because of you and your posts, I guess I might end up as like a sneaky vegan where I don't identify as vegan, but I just keep having vegan meals.
I like a sneaky vegan.
Enough for me.
Takes the pressure off.
Caitlin, Sarah, thank you for being you. Happy Thanksgiving. Jan, don't look at the polls. Polls only tell us what people with landlines who answer calls from unknown numbers, and don't hang up on pollsters or thinking and they're not representative.
Good point.
Toodly-doo.
I've said that for years.
Toodly do.
Also, a call out for American listeners. Voice note us your thoughts on the election.
Oh, please do. We're
We
just
need
up
more.
here, but tell us.
Okay, thank you for making us feel better about the polls. People who have landlines that don't hang up on pollsters. Jesus,
home at 3 p.m.
That's a fucking sad group of people that's left.
So we have other ways to get polls now, but anyways, I digress.
Okay, last one for the week.
Okay.
Hello, Jan, Sarah, and Caitlin. Happy Thanksgiving weekend from Karen in Halifax. Blessings to everyone. Wanted to tell you a little Thanksgiving story. Our first Thanksgiving after we were married, we were hosting our very first dinner gathering in our new home with new in-laws and family. I was checking on my baking apple pie. Using oven mitts, I pulled it out, but it needed a few more minutes. But I did not realize I had left the oven mitts in the oven with the pie. A few minutes later, smoke is pouring out of the oven and smoke detectors were wailing. Chaos ensued. All ended up okay, though, except for my ego. By the way, this was in 1976, and our first house cost $37,000 at Bayview and Eglinton in Toronto. Gosh, in hindsight, we should have hung on to it. Loving the podcast with you lovelies as always, and my Patreon access is so amazing. Take care there. Bye-bye now.
Bye. Thank you so much. Oven mitts in the oven with the pie. That makes sense. You put the pie in, you take your hands out of the mitts.
Yeah.
And
that sounds like an ADHD thing to do, to be
relatable.
Honest.
And also, she lives in Halifax, so she can do no wrong in my eyes.
Aw, you can do no wrong. Well, listen, we'd like to send you a pair of oven mitts for being our Patreon.
We don't have that merch yet. I'm just going to disclaim that.
And we still have a Patreon, folks. You can go to Jann Arden. There's the links in our bio.
And just honestly, anytime you want something, just Google it. Google Jann Arden Podcast Patreon. It'll be like the first result. Our like search engine optimization is
it's
good.
It's $5 a month. It's less than a coffee. And we have lots of fun things going on. We have extra content all the time.
Extra content was 40 minutes. It was its own dang full episode.
Yeah. So and it really is fun. We had to shut up. We finally had to say we've got to hang up now. Mm-hmm. We're calling it hanging up because we feel like we're on the phone with friends.
We is you.
Anyway, thank you for we is me. We is me and the mouse in my pocket. On the show today, for our bonus content, I do want to talk about a quandary that I have with the girls. It concerns an ex-manager from many, many years ago and a reconnect that is happening recently, and I'm perplexed by it. So I'm going to be looking for some help from my teammates here.
Love that.
Anyway, thanks for listening. We're on all your favorite streaming platforms, and we just really value your participation every week. And you can leave us a voice note, and you can be on Patreon, and you can just keep being you. That's all I'm saying. Caitlin Green, Sarah Burke. Sarah, get better. Sarah's been the snot plug for fucking 2 weeks now.
Been a snot plug, okay.
And it's time for you. You can't kiss a long time when you're all snot plug. Like you can't make out. You just can't. You can't breathe.
Yeah. Luckily,
that's
no
your
dates.
PSA from
no
Jann,
dates right now.
Well, I was going to mention something else, but I'm going to say goodbye now. Okay. So thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Totally do.